Hey guys, Delt here. I'm going to be doing a little mini series on the different Dark and Darker maps. This is something that I'm not 100% sure of exactly how it'll work, and the best idea that I have is to pull up the map and try to mark where things are by the different rooms. I'm going to go over boss locations, sub-boss spawns, meaning skeletal champions, wraiths, centipedes, and other mini bosses that are slightly more difficult than the regular mobs, the areas to find lion's head and golden chests, mining places, and extract locations. If there's any way that you think I can make these videos better in the future, please let me know, because I'm planning to do all of the maps. I'm also saving Howling Crypts and Inferno for the last map because there's different variations, and that will probably end up taking more time than both Goblin Caves and Ice Caves. So without further ado, here is the 5x5 Goblin Caves map. Goblin Caves does honestly have a pretty good amount going on with it, but the majority of the game is actually played in 3 different modules, and that is because of boss locations. How you find Cave Troll is to go to the bottom right of the map and go 1 box up and 1 box inward. Cyclops is the complete opposite, so you start up at the top left of the map, go 1 box down and 1 box inward. And you might be thinking, well, that's only 2 boxes. Where's the third one? It's directly in the center of the map. This is because a lot of players who are trying to get the most amount of gold, the most amount of loot that they can, will go from 1 boss to the other. In all reality, if you're wanting to kill one, Cave Troll is the better because he has a chance to drop a troll pelt. What a troll pelt is something that you can use to either make gear, like a tri-pelt northern tunic, or more specifically, a gold bag that holds 1,000 gold in it, and it sells for 6k. The troll pelt itself sells for 4k, so if you kill Cave Troll and you get lucky, that's just 4,000 gold profit, even in normal matches. On top of that, regardless of which boss you kill, you'll be able to open up a loot room. That loot room will contain a marvelous chest, another random chest, a cape spawn, and a gold pile. The gold piles in normals aren't really worth doing. I wouldn't recommend doing them, but if you go into high roller, you can get a lot of good things from them. If you're really lucky, you'll get a gold chest. I'm not 100% sure because I honestly haven't gotten one. I think those hold 10,000 gold and they sell for a whole lot more. Another reason that you want to kill both bosses. This is because it opens up a third loot room. This loot room connects both bosses with 2 tunnels. It has a lion head chest, 2 random item spawns, which could be artifacts, they could be uniques, they could be legendary gear if you're playing in high roller. If you're in norms, I think the highest rarity you can get from this is epic, but that's still pretty good. And there is 4 gold ore. If you're doing this in normals, you can probably only pull 2 or 3 from each specific gold ore, but if you're doing it in high roller, you can get 5 or 6. Fighting the bosses and fighting over those 3 loot rooms are definitely the best way to get gold and money in Goblin Caves, and honestly it could even be in Dark and Darker if you're not getting lucky and pulling uniques from the other bosses. Anyway, now we're moving on to sub bosses, and the 2 sub bosses that you're going to find in the Goblin Caves are the Skeletal Champion and the Giant Centipede. The Skeletal Champions have a chance to drop golden keys, which sell for a good amount of money. Other than that, they just drop some pretty decent gear every once in a while. Giant Centipedes, on the other hand, can either be awful and you'll get like a campfire and a health pot, or they can drop some of the best jewelry in the game up to epic rarity. And because of that, if you're trying to do all of your gear from 0 to hero or solo self-found, Giant Centipedes are really great for getting your jewelry and getting some pretty good bonuses to your strength early on. And just as a side note, I'm doing all of this from memory, so if I'm missing any of these, please just let me know, but these are all the ones that I can think of right now. As you can tell, there are a ton of different centipede spawns, so it's pretty easy to get jewelry in the Goblin Caves. Also, as another side note, some people consider the Skeletal Mages and the Goblin Mages as sub-bosses as well. While that could be true, they don't really drop anything that's too worth your while, so I'm just putting these up here because Skelly Champs can drop the golden keys, and Centipedes have a pretty high chance of dropping jewelry. Moving right along, Goblin Caves also has another locked room, and this is locked by an item called a mystical gem. These can drop from High Roller Cave Troll, and it basically just opens up another loot pile room for you. Mystical gems are very expensive, so if you get one, it's probably just in your best interest to sell it anyway. But if you wanted to do it, it is in the bottom left corner of the room where the little mystical gem is on the map currently, and you could get some decent stuff. Something that some people do to try to get quick AP is that since this module is so far out of the way of the map from other things, for AP, people will buy these mystical gems and go and hit the loot pile and then leave. You can get a ton of collectibles and stuff like that, because gold piles are great for getting AP, It's just not the most fun gameplay, but if you're trying to just rat and get some AP and you have some money to spend, then this is a good way to do it. All right, and now we have lion's heads, golden chests, and royal coffins. Keep in mind that some of these might end up being different when you're actually in game. Some of these spawns, it could be a lion head or a golden chest, so I always just put a lion head for some of these. There's also some where it could be a lion head, but it could just also be an oak chest. So I just put a lion head for all of them anyway. Regardless, it's going to be good loot. If it's a golden chest, you're just going to be required to have a lockpick instead of sometimes need it and sometimes won't. The one random coffin, I couldn't find a picture of a royal coffin, so I just used that. It'll be in one of the corners. I think it changes every game. I also didn't mark the marvelous chests. And the one lion's head that you're seeing in the middle is actually different from the one in the room underneath where the bosses connect. I was trying to keep these parts separate, so this isn't including any bossing at all whatsoever. You could run through the map and find these. And just like with the sub bosses, if I am missing any of these, please just let me know. I'll pin your comment and then we can help other people who don't know the game know it a little better. Might even help me out, who knows. And now for all of the miners here. Goblin Caves has cobalt, iron, copper, and gold ore. Sadly, the gold ore is only accessible once both bosses have been defeated, so either you need to kill one and hope that somebody else fights the other, or you need to be able to take both down yourself. In the top right corner of the map does have cobalt, iron, and copper, and you're able just to go in and get whatever you want. Usually I would recommend skipping the iron because it doesn't really do anything for you, but cobalt and copper gear are both pretty good, and copper gear sells for a pretty good amount if you're willing to spend the time to invest in mining and crafting and hoping for good rolls. There's also a ton of cobalt ore in the center of the map in the elevator room, and that's definitely where I'd recommend mining if that's what your goal is, because from what I'm remembering, there's at least 5, I want to say 6 ore spawns in that room, but I don't remember for sure. There's either 5 or 6. Just be sure to keep in mind if you're planning to mine that center room, or if you're planning to mine the gold ore after fighting both bosses, you might run into PvP, and so either be ready to fight back or get away. And now we're going to cover extraction, because finding the things and killing them is one thing, but now you also need to get out with all of your loot. Goblin Caves has 4 different ways to escape. The way that I have these marked on here, R is ropes, S is staircase, TP is triple portal, and E is elevator. If you're playing solo, any of these works, but if you're also playing duos or trios in the Goblin Caves and you're wanting to escape together, you only want to go to the triple portals and the elevators. That means you only really have 3 spawns to go to, unless you're wanting to split up at the end of the game. And that's because the rope is one use. After somebody uses it, it's gone up. You'll never see it again. With the staircase, when someone uses it, it collapses behind them, so you can never use it again. None of these will spawn or be usable until roughly 3 minutes are left in the game. For example, if you go to one of the staircases and the gate is closed, that means you're too early. Just take some more time, come back to it in another minute, and you'll probably be fine. If there's less than 1 minute left in the game, do not go to the elevator either. The very last elevator spawns, it starts to come down at 120, and then it goes back up at roughly 110. The only other warning that I'm going to give you is that if you're being chased with anyone who has ranged, do not go to a rope. It takes roughly 15 seconds to go from where you press F and start to climb the rope until you're out of the dungeon. That's 15 seconds where you can't do anything and somebody can kill you. So just be really careful about that. If you are being chased, I'd recommend going to a staircase because you just walk out and then you're done. If you're playing a class that also has high will, you can go to the triple portals because the higher your will, the more magical interaction speed you have and the quicker you'll be able to open them. But I would just recommend to definitely stay away from the ropes if you're being chased. And lastly, I just decided to put these on here because it's good information to know that could save you or your teammate. These are all of the health shrine and altar of sacrifice locations in the game. Health shrines basically just heal you, and altar of sacrifices are good to resurrect your teammates as long as you pick up their soul heart. If you didn't know, if you're playing in a team, you could take off someone's shirt and then loot something called a soul heart, bring it to one of these altar sacrifices, interact with it as long as you have the soul heart in your hand, and you'll res your teammate. All right, and that is going to be the end of our Goblin Caves map guide. Again, if I missed anything, please let me know so I could add it in here or just pin your comment. And if you're thinking that I should talk about anything else in the future when I do the Ice Caves or Howling Crypts versions of this, please let me know and I'll add those in as well. As of right now, if you enjoyed the content, please just help me out and give the video a like or a comment, or also consider subscribing to the channel or joining me when I go live on Twitch. I typically stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for roughly 4 hours. All right, thanks so much for watching, and as always, I hope you all have a great day, and I hope to see you next time. Peace.